Hello fellow gardeners. Today I am making my first gardening video and I am starting with seeds. We are coming up on February the 15th. So today is Thursday, so it is February the 13th. I am starting my pepper seeds. I'm also going to start a handful of lettuce seeds. Starting peppers now because we're about 8 weeks from where from my spring plant sale, which will be coming up at the end of April. And it'll take my peppers that long to germinate and to grow into a decent size. So what I am starting in, I'm using some Fox Farm soil. I typically like to use the Ocean Forest, but local garden store had some soil on deal at the end of the season, so I picked up some Fox Farm strawberry fields and some Coco Loco. So the Coco Loco is more your typical seed starting mix, full of the cocoa core and a few nutrients, and the strawberry fields is full of is loaded with nutrients. I have mixed them together half and half. I like to run my store-bought garden soil through a sifter. So I've got some hardware cloth on the bottom of a frame that I take and I will sift my soil through. I just take my soil from the garden store, I shake it up, and it all falls through, less the larger chunks that are the kind of the barky chips. So these will just go into one of my garden beds. They'll break down just fine over the course of the summer, but I don't want them in my seed starting mix because I don't want them to interfere with the small seedlings that are trying to come up through the soil. I am starting seeds in new trays. So I have some little 6-pack trays that I'm going to start my lettuce in. And then I have it's 6 cells by 12 cells that I'm going to start my peppers in. Once my peppers get large enough, I will be potting those up. So here in about 3 or 4 weeks, I'll pot up my peppers. The lettuce that I start in those 6-packs, I'll just take out my basement where I'm starting the seeds and plant them outside in 3 weeks or so. It's still cool outside, but the lettuces should be able to tolerate a light hot frost as long as we don't get extraordinarily cold temperatures for an extended period of time. The lettuce should be fine. I am in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Our last frost date is April 15th. That means we're most likely going to get another freeze or two between now and April. Currently it's been 50 degrees and raining outside, which the lettuce will love just fine. If we get that another cold snap and get down to 10 degrees, it could kill all of my lettuce. So I am rolling the dice on my lettuce. The pepper plants themselves will stay inside until April when I start to harden them off. So I have my pre-sifted soil, and I am just going to hold my tray over my bin and shovel the soil into the tray. One other thing I did after I sifted my soil was I took a gallon or so of water and added it to this mix and to pre-moisten my soil. So I would call my soil right now damp. It is definitely not wet to the touch. If I pick it up and squeeze it, I'd have to squeeze really hard. Nothing came out of that. So ideally you squeeze it hard and 1 or 2 drops of water comes out. So I'm maybe not ideally damp, but I'm damp enough where the soil is sticking to my hands. And I will plant my seeds into this, and then I will bottom water. Bottom watering is putting some water in the bottom of the tray, and we'll let the soil suck up the amount of water that it so desires. A lot of people will bottom water, and everybody will tell you to come back in an hour or 2, and that is probably ideal. I typically get distracted and get in the middle of another project, so I try to come down at least the next day, and I will just take my tray over to the sink and lift it up and empty out my excess water. Yes, I am running a risk of rotting some of the roots and some dampening off issues because my soil is staying maybe a touch more damp than ideal, but that's what works for me. And I have run into very few issues as long as I empty out the excess water in, say, 24 hours. Again, not ideal, but it's what I do, and I've had no issues with. To start with, we're starting these lettuce seeds. Lettuce seeds are tiny. That's spinach. That is spinach. That's some pak choi. We could start some pak choi. Here is some Paris Island romaine. General rule of thumb on seeds when you're planting them is you're planting them about twice as deep as they are big. Well, these are tiny seeds, so we can almost surface sow them, but we want to get them in decent contact with the soil. So I'm shooting to get 3 or 4 seeds in each little cell, at least 2. These are not brand new seeds, so my germination rate has probably fallen off of what is ideal. You can use last year's seeds. You can use 5-year-old seeds. Some seeds store better than others as far as their longevity. All seeds are viable after a year or 2. Their germination rate just drops off. I want to say a handful of seeds, say peas, and I think corn is one that is ideally to use in the first year or 2, because their germination rate will drop off dramatically. What I mean by germination rate is if you're starting 100 seeds, a 90% germination rate would be 90 seeds come up. And so that's probably your typical, germination rate. It'd be a 90%. So as I put 3 or 4 seeds down on each of these, most of them I'm expecting most of them to come up, but if only half come up, I'm still okay. So now I'm just so I dropped 3 or 4 seeds kind of in the center of each cell. Now I'm just kind of pressing them down, pressing the corners and bringing in the corners of the soil, so that these lettuce seeds are ever so slightly covered. And rinse and repeat. So I'm doing half of this tray with lettuce, and then maybe I'll do a 6-pack here of this pak choi, and then see what else I can find. I do have a lettuce tower on my back deck that I will be transplanting these into. I like to keep it on my back deck by the back door, because that's close to the kitchen. It reminds me to water them regularly and gives me a better chance of remembering to harvest them, because if this lettuce was out in my garden, I'm not sure I would harvest it quick enough to use it. Also, I do have rabbits that want to run through my garden, so having these lettuces on my deck at least protects the lettuce from the rabbits. All right, so again, my soil is ever so slightly damp, and I will bottom water this as I set it up. My peppers, after I get them planted, I will be putting that tray on a heat mat. The lettuce does not need a heat mat. It likes the cooler temperatures. Every seed has an ideal temperature that it will germinate. That's a tennis ball lettuce. We can do that one too. An ideal temperature for germination. And I think the lettuce is, in that 40 to 50 degree range as far as its ideal germination temperature. So now it's not you could direct sow this outside today. It's just I'm not sure what our extended weather forecast is going to look like, and I can control things much better inside. And I have really torn up this pack of seeds as I'm trying to open it. Pak choi was what this was. I'll need to put a label on this to remember. Right, pak choi. Seeds everywhere. That didn't go as intended. All right, a couple seeds on 2, 3 seeds on each little cell. If all these seeds come up, it'll be just fine, because all the lettuces and the pak choi don't mind being growing right next to each other. So you could probably do 2 or 3 plants in a little cluster. If the plants are nice and healthy when I go to transplant, I should be able to separate them out a little bit as I plant them out into my tower. All right, so that's our pak choi. And so that's 2 6-packs of pak choi. As far as labeling goes, I have used different little plastic labels, and you can write on them with different utensils. You can just use a regular ballpoint pen. You can use a felt, like a Sharpie marker. Unfortunately, both of those, while they look great when you put them in there, they do fade over the course of the summer. They are not UV resistant and protected. So I get these colorful labels off of Amazon, and I'm able to write on them with pencil, and they'll last all summer. So it's a little hard to read. You got to hold it at just the right angle to read that pencil, but it doesn't fade like your marker or your pen will over time. So you can find them out in the garden the following year, and you'll still be able to read them versus you would not on the other labels. You can get some garden markers. I'm not sure what brand that is. I forget if I got it from Amazon or if I got it from a local garden store. This says Beer Love. Maybe that is the brand. Professional Manufacturer of Garden Supplies. It is a garden marker for outdoor use. Rainproof, anti-UV, odorless. So that's what I'm trying this year. See how it works. It does have a very soft felt tip pen on it, so it does. You have to be very gentle as you're writing, otherwise you get a very bold mark on it. Here's another example of some plastic markers. You can also just use popsicle sticks. I've seen people using old blinds where they'll cut up the what is it, Venetian blinds, just your old plastic cheap blinds that they pull down, and cut those up and use them. Whatever you have, I encourage you to use whatever you have on hand. Right now, I'm just going to stick a tag in here to remind me that this row here is my pak choi, and this row over here is my lettuce. All the pak choi seeds are. All right, and then for now, I'm going to set my pack of seeds on here. And where'd my other pack of seeds go? Here it is. I'm going to put my other pack of seeds on here, and I'll label it off camera, not to bore you with me writing on surfaces. All right, what else did I say we were going to do? Tennis ball lettuce. So another type of lettuce. I just grabbed 2 different varieties, and to mix and match to go in my tower. What do our seed packets say on it? So, sun, partial shade, start 4 weeks before last frost. So we're starting really about 8 weeks before last frost, because we're going to roll the dice and try to get these out. At least here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, we go from very nice spring weather to, it's summer real freaking fast, and it gets hot fast. And the lettuces don't necessarily love the hot weather, nor does this pak choi. So I'm trying to get an early start on the lettuce so we can have some nice spring salads. Because once summer gets here, this lettuce will want to bolt. So it'll send up a stalk through the middle, and it will want to go to flower. And as it goes to flower, it will become more bitter, and it's just not quite as appealing. Many plants will do this when they turn slightly bitter, or they change in flavor as they start to flower. And that is, my understanding is that it's something they do to protect themselves from predators, whether that be the rabbit or the insects. They make themselves less appealing as they start to flower. That is to protect their reproductive process so that they don't get eaten in their most vulnerable and most important time of their life cycle. At least this is my understanding. I'm sure Mr. Google Pants can give you even more info than I, but I'm here today to help share my limited knowledge of what works for me and the mistakes that I've made to help you avoid some pitfalls. All right, so that is lettuces planted. So I've got I've got 2 lettuces and some pak choi that I have planted in my tray. I'm going to sit these just out of the way for a moment. I'll get them on my shelves under grow lights shortly. So they don't necessarily need grow lights until they've popped up out of the soil. but you don't know if they're going to pop up in 1 day or 3 days or a week. It all depends on if you have hit their ideal temperature in your seed starting location. So now I'm filling up my tray with my sifted soil for peppers. I've actually got a couple other trays that I've already filled up, but I wanted to show you the process that I use. And you can get an oversized container to do this in. It helps with your cleanup. This is the first year I've had this oversized container, and it is working out nicely. This is a restaurant supply. Stores would carry a container of this size. You could just use a Rubbermaid container. Again, I encourage you to use what you have on hand. I just used whatever container I had on hand, and then I would try to fill it up the best I could over that container, and then I'm cleaning up the soil off of my work desk. So I like to fill them up, give them a little tap, help them settle. Then I can still see my low spots, get my soil to my only 80% filled little cells, a little tap, and now it's ready to fill. I'll go through on some of these and sometimes I'll go through and just kind of give them a little depression and try to put my seed in that depression. But the pepper seed is small enough that I am going to be pressing it down and then covering it up with the soil, just like I did on my tomato plant, on the lettuce. So that's your basic seed starting. I have got 3 trays of peppers to start. I'll just kind of go to work. You can feel free to leave this video on and just kind of be background, and I'll make a comment here and there as I see fit. But I've got a list of seeds that I don't think I brought down here with me that tells me that I have decided how many of each pepper plant I'm going to start. So I will be back in just a moment. I'm going to go and get my list, and then I'll let you know what seeds I have. So you need a cup of coffee, now's the time. All right, I am back with my big long list. So a friend of mine has asked me to start a few pepper plants for him that I've never heard of, but I've made room for these in my plans. So he has asked me to start this Lesa, L-E-S-Y-A, Lesa pepper from Baker Creek. I believe it's a sweet pepper. He's asked me to start this blot pepper from Baker Creek. These are spicy ones, a serrano. He has several varieties of jalapenos he asked me to start. A pumpkin spice, a lemon spice, a brown jalapeno, and an orange spice. So I am going to start all those for him as well. So my plan is to put 2 peppers seeds in each little cell, and we'll dilly that way. If only half of them germinate, I still have plenty of plants to come up. Let's see, stacks and stacks of other pepper seeds. What else are we starting? I have some Colossus jalapenos that I purchased from Haas Tools. I have some cowhorn peppers. I like these because they've got a little smoky flavor to them. They're also from Haas Tools. They're a hybrid. Here is an extra large poblano pepper from Haas Tools, and some shishito peppers because why not? For the hot pepper lovers, I have some habaneros. I also have some Anaheim chilies, I'll be starting some cayenne peppers. These came from M.I. Gardner. I have a fish pepper. So the neat thing about the fish pepper plant is it has variegated leaves and variegated peppers. A Thai hot. These suckers have some spice on them. You just need one. The Thai and the fish are as hot as that habanero with just a little bit different flavor. You just need one of them in your dish. Got some more poblano peppers. I have serranos. Here's three different packs of serrano peppers. 2 from MI and 1 from Gardner and 1 from the Ferry Moore. Again, use what you have. MI Gardner is a nice spot to order from online because they are $2 packs of seeds on all kinds of varieties. Their pack size is a little bit smaller than some others, but this one's got 50 cubanella peppers in it. So sometimes it's 10 seeds, sometimes it's 50 seeds, depending on the variety. But they're all $2 a pack. I think there's free delivery if you get over a certain amount, 25 bucks or something. Some yellow Hungarian wax. I've got some red bells. Here's an arroz con pollo. So the chicken and rice pepper seasoning. Some sweet cherry blend peppers. Probably start just 6 of those. We'll see how they do. Some pepperoncinis. All right. So what I do is because there's all kinds of peppers I want to start and I only have so much room. Oh, so one of those packs is open and I threw seeds everywhere. That's not grand. Because I only have so much space to start seeds, and I'll turn the camera around here in a minute, show you my shelves. I've got three shelves that I can dedicate to peppers, and I can get 4 trays on each shelf. And in each tray I can fit 36 little cups to put my peppers in. Looking for some of my cups. So I typically use, it's a 3.5 inch, 2.5 inch cup. So I can get 4 across and 8 deep for 36 plants in a tray. But I start in the seed trays and then I'll pot up. So I make myself a list to tell me how many of each seed to start. So that way I don't overdo it on one and not have room for another. So I am going to get started on planting my seeds. All right, starting with the mild seeds. I've got this Lesia. So the plan is for 6 cells that I'm going to drop 2 seeds into. Again, I'm assuming that I'm going to get more than 50% germination, because my hope is to have 8 plants when I'm done. All right, 12 seeds I pulled out of the pack. So just press them down a little bit, moving the soil around so that they are covered up and they are underneath a light layer of soil. All right, there are 6 Lesias that I have now started. Now I still have seeds in the pack. Easy way is I just kind of fold the top over a bit, trying to keep these from coming out. Ideally, I would have opened the bottom of this pack so I could still see the name of the pepper at the top of the package. Somewhere in these supplies, I have some crafting tape. So evidently, like the scrapbooking tape, I think I've got a little roll of, and it kind of goes on and comes off fairly easy to make it reusable. So you could seal that with a crafting tape. You might use a little painter's tape or masking tape just to tape that down, and then it would keep your seeds much more secure. And I may do that just not right now. All right, I did go ahead and make some labels for all of these. So I had these other small little plant labels. They kind of look like collar stays. That's about the size of them. And I went ahead and used this garden pen and made up my labels. And I believe I put half of these in one direction, half of them the other, because half of them were sweet and half of them were hot. So I believe these are the hot pepper ones. Oh, except those must be the sweet, because there's the Lisa right on top. So there's my hot, here's my sweet, here's my Lisa. And we will label that row. All right, next on my list was the blot pepper. And so it is this multicolored one here. We'll open this one from the bottom because we remembered. So I am starting seeds in my basement. It's where A, it's where I have room, and B, it's where I can kind of mess with the temperature a little bit. So to get these pepper seeds started, I will be putting them onto a heat mat. Peppers like it hot to start. So blot, we want 6. So I'm hoping to put 2 seeds in 6 different cells. Again, pepper seeds like it hot, so we'll go on a heat mat. That heat mat will probably help raise the temperature of the soil about 10 degrees. Got a thermometer down here. I think I stuck it outside. I've got just an outdoor thermometer. I'll pull inside and leave it in the basement while I'm starting seeds. And it gives me a good idea of what my basement is staying at. So my house is typically set on 65 degrees. The basement may stay a little bit cooler than that at 60. But the lettuce will love that just fine. But these peppers, may take 2 weeks at 60 degrees before they will germinate. So if I put it on the heat mat, we can get it at least up to 70. I might even stick a little space heater next to them, kind of blowing some warmer air, to try to get them up to, say, 75 degrees or so, because that is much closer to their ideal. All right, so folding over the bottom twice, putting seeds back in my seed envelope for storage, and pressing these seeds into the soil just a touch. So maybe a 1/4 inch down is kind of what I'm going for, at most. We don't want them to have to come up too much, but we need them covered with the damp soil. So what did I say that one was? The blot. Found my blot tag. These are the sweet ones. Yes, that's what I need, sweet. There's one that says blot that I made up. All right, next on my list, YOLO Wonder. So this will be a green bell pepper plant that I am looking for in my seeds mix here. Not in that handful. Giant, here we go. California Wonder. California Wonder YOLOs. Got YOLO Wonder peppers from in my garden. And one of those packs is open. I don't love that. Not that I set the ones that I set down. So I decided I wanted 12 of these. So that'll probably be 36 plants when we're all said and done. Yeah, we're gonna plant quite a few of these. So as I'm planting, we can talk a little bit about seeds. Some seed packets will say that they are heirloom. Some will say that they're hybrid. Some will call themselves F1. Some will say open pollinated on them. So my understanding is, so if you end up with a hybrid, especially if it says F1 hybrid on it, my understanding is you're going to grow that just fine. And you can save seeds from it. You just may not, the seeds that you save will grow you another pepper, or if you save them from a tomato, grow you another tomato, but it may not be exactly the same as the plant that you saved it from, because it's a cross. My understanding is after some time, and is that 5 years, 10 years, I'm not sure, that these hybrids become stabilized. So that means if you have a stabilized hybrid, they call those open pollinated. So that open pollinated plant, so it kind of changes its designation. I think one good example is a sun gold tomato. I think it's still a hybrid. They may be about ready to call it open pollinated now, meaning that you can save the seeds from that plant and regrow the same plant. Versus it will be a sun gold a sun gold tomato versus just a random cherry tomato that has got some qualities of but may not match exactly the parent plant. And then there are plants called heirloom seeds that are called heirlooms. There's some debate there. I use the word debate, but that's really too strong. Just as far as the definition of the word, so all heirlooms are open pollinated, as in you can save the seeds and regrow the same plant. But an heirloom, some people say, has to be at least 30 years old. Somebody else will say it has to be 50 years old. Some people say it has to be 100 years old. Somebody else might say, well, it needs to be 50 years old and have a good story, So, but your heirlooms are the ones that typically have a story behind them, and they have been around for, we'll say, generations. Versus your hybrids are a newer cross. And there's good things about the heirlooms, and there's good things about the hybrids. You just have to figure out, what genetics you want to promote and grow. A lot of the current hybrids are being grown for some disease resistance. There's my California Wonder. Yay. The general rule is that, and I say rule, but it's not a rule. General thought is your hybrids are grown for, say, disease resistance, but your heirlooms were always grown for flavor. Well, typically your heirlooms are very flavorful, but you can find a flavorful hybrid. It all depends on what genetics the grower was preferring when they picked the cross that they were going to save. So, like the sun golds that I mentioned are one of my favorite tomatoes. They are extraordinarily sweet and prolific. All right, so that was the YOLO, not the California Wonder. We're going to put a California Wonder here. Where's my YOLO label? There's my YOLO label. YOLO. All right. Now looking for the California Wonder that I know I saw just a second ago. So there's all kinds of colors of peppers. So your typical seeing a California Wonder bell at the grocery store, it's going to be your green pepper. But my understanding, you leave it on the vine long enough, it's going to ripen to red. All right, California Wonder 12. I've got some other peppers that are labeled a red mercury or a yellow bell. I'm going to grow those as well. I'm not sure. They're going to start off as green, but they will definitely transition to either yellow or red based on the variety of the seed that will start it. I've got one I think in here that's called purple. So they will start off as green and mature to that final color. Same thing with your, say, a jalapeno. The ones we buy in the store are always green. That's what we see. But if habaneros or jalapeno stays on the vine long enough, well, it turns red. We actually have a local Hispanic grocery near us, and they sell both the red and the green jalapenos. If you let the jalapeno ripen on the bush, it tends to, in my opinion, to be hotter than those that have yet to ripen. Also, I swear the ones that look all wrinkly and cracked turn out to be hotter than those that are not. I have had some very mild jalapenos, and I have had some extraordinarily hot jalapenos. And some people will swear that it matters what you plant them next to. I'm not certain of that. I just know that some varieties are hotter than others, and conditions that they're grown in can cause them to be hotter. If you pick the Peppers, after a dry spell, they are going to have less water in them, so they're going to concentrate the flavor, i.e. the heat, for the hot ones more. So pick them when they're dry, they're hotter. Pick them when they're red, they're hotter. Pick them when they're wrinkled, they're hotter. Pick them when they're dry, red, and wrinkled. They're going to light you up. So it all depends on what you like. All right, next on my list, Emerald Giant. Yet another bell we're going to try out. All right, say I wanted a dozen of these. A lot of these seeds, especially these Livington seeds here, I got from an acquaintance. We have a Chattanooga gardening Facebook group, so she was on there. I forget the whole story. She had a friend or a family member that actually worked for a Livington seed company. So a lot of these seed companies almost sell their seeds on consignment. So they sell a bunch of seeds to a local nursery or your hardware store, and there at the end of the season, say September-ish, whatever's in excess still at the nursery or the hardware store, they'll basically send back to the seed provider, in this case Livingston. And they only pay for what they've sold, and Livingston takes back the excess. Well, we got here in the U.S. there's some law, I don't know the code, but it says that they have to put a sell-by date on each of the packages. Well, that sell-by date is there for the protection of the consumer, so that they know that somebody's not selling us some 10-year-old seeds. Yeah, again, those 10-year-old seeds are viable. They're just not going to have a great germination rate. So the government has decided that you put a sell-by date on these packs, and they can't sell these seeds after their sell-by date. So these companies pick them up, and they look for someone to gift them to, or they dispose of them. So they may go to your local library. In this case, because local gardener's friend worked for the seed company, she got probably 6 or 8 large boxes just jam-packed with seeds. Well, she had all her friends come and pick out seeds, and gave a whole bunch away, and gave a bunch to different charitable organizations and school groups, and she just ran out of contacts and still had a whole slew of seeds left. So I went and picked them up from her. I did the same thing. I gave them away to everybody that I could think of, school groups, friends and acquaintances with gardens. This was my California Wonder that I just started. All right, no, this was my Emerald Giant. Looking for my label, Emerald Giant. So I ended up with a whole slew of seeds. I snagged, so that row, those two. I ended up with a whole slew of seeds myself. So the bulk of my seeds this year are these Livington seeds that are all last year's to be sold by, seeds. So they're all 1 year old. The handful of Baker Creek seeds I have for my friend, they were produced last year to be sold this year. So these seeds were harvested, and the ones that I've just planted here were harvested 2 years ago and packed last year, 2 years ago and packed, and then I guess they're really about a 3-year-old seed. But hey, my expectation is I just need about 50% of them. If I can get 75% germination, I'm going to be thrilled. If I go down to 50, I'm not screwed. So hey, it'll all work out. So that was my Emerald Giant. Now on to a purple bell. I saw that purple bell somewhere. There it is, a purple bell pepper. So I'm planting these purple bells. So anyway, I order seeds from Baker Creek on occasion. They're all heirlooms, so they've got some unique varieties, and they do have free shipping even on a single pack of seeds. Their seed packs are probably $3.50, $4 a piece. You get a few more seeds, but it's free shipping, which I guess we're just really spreading around to all of the consumers out there. All right, Purple bell, 6 seeds, 6 plants. So also ordered from the MI gardener that I mentioned before. Nope, not there. We want to go one bit over because we did 2 rows of that emerald. And there's another seed company called Southern Exposure that I like, because Southern Exposure is they more specialize in seeds for the South. And they are their seeds can handle the harsher, hotter temperatures and our humidity a little bit better. Again, some varieties are more resistant to others, and they try to carry varieties resistant to blights and wilts and diseases brought on by our excessive humidity down here. All right, it's purple. And I mentioned the Haas tools. So those are some go-to websites. Johnny's is a huge seed company, so sometimes I have to go there to find the hybrids that I want. I think they had the Sun Gold, but I think the only people that had the Sun Golds that I wanted, tomatoes, that was the purple. Purple bell was Haas, which is why I ordered from Haas Tools. All right, next up, purple bell, banana, banana. All right, so banana we did that, and that, and banana we wanted a dozen. So my banana, your banana, all the bananas. Banana. Also, some packs will say organic. So, from me as a home gardener, that I am not certified organic to sell my produce. The seeds don't really matter that they say organic on them. You will end up paying a premium for organic seeds. Because Livingston one pack says it's $3 and this one is $3.50. That is just because it says organic on it. Now that means the plants that these seeds were harvested from were raised with organic practices, and they were certified organic plant, certified organic farm that they got these seeds from. And now if you are a certified organic farmer, you need to plant seeds that are also certified organic to maintain your certification. I am not. So, all right. Banana. So, there's no reason to necessarily pay extra for the organic seeds unless you are an organic producer, certified or producer of organic goods. I mean, if your thought process is, I just want to support the organic farms, great, purchase the organic seeds. But for my purposes, I don't feel that there's a need for me to spend any extra. Now, granted, I'm starting these today because they were the same cost as the others, free. One place I know that you can get free seeds in Chattanooga is at the public library. They do have a seed bank at the public library downtown. Not sure about the other locations. I am close to downtown, so that's the location I'm familiar with. Now, that's not to say that they're going to have, they may have 100 packs of peppers. They just may not be the peppers varieties that you're looking for. But you can look there before you get online and start ordering seeds, or go to your local nursery to pick up your seeds. If you do not have pepper seeds now is the time to get your pepper seeds. Again, I start peppers in mid-February, so that mid-April they are ready. They are healthy enough and sizable enough to be planted outside. That is not to say that you need to plant your pepper plants outside on February 15th, the date of our last average frost. I would encourage you to wait until, say, May 1st, because even if we have beautiful, perfect, ideal, frost-free weather between April 15th and March and May 1, the plant that I plant on May 1 is going to catch right up to the plant that you plant on April 15th, because peppers don't like cool weather, and even end of April is going to be cooler than the pepper plant will like. Heck, beginning of May is going to be cooler than pepper plant likes. So end of May, when it gets hot, June when it gets hot, that's when these pepper plants are going to take off, and you won't be able to, by June 15th, you're not going to be able to tell which one you planted on April 15th and which one you planted on May 1st. You're still not going to get a pepper until July or August. So, yeah, no need to rush your pepper plants out. Actually, cool weather, temperatures under 40 degrees can actually stunt your pepper plant. So if you plant them out on April 15th and at your last average frost, and then that just means you, even when you do that, there's still at least a 10% chance of a frost after that last average frost date. 1 out of 10 years, you're going to get a freeze at the end of April. Well, that freeze could kill your plants, but even just cool weather, get down to 35 degrees, get down to 38 degrees, you're going to stunt that pepper plant. So I encourage you again to wait until at least May 1st before you plant out your peppers. I need one more variety here. I've got six left in this tray. Sweet cherry. Is my next 6-pack. We will plant sweet cherry. Find those. Sweet cherry. Oh, and there's the little tape that I used in the past on my envelope to try to hold my seeds in. So we'll see. So this packet has got to be more than a couple years old. This came from Botanical Interest. What's the guy's name? He's got a YouTube channel. He just bought Botanical Interest last year, and he's a California gardener, and sells the verbiage raised beds and all. Forget his name. All right, so this pack of seeds has got another packet inside the packet. All right, so see how many seeds are left in here. And for funsies, does this say what year it was produced to sell in? It has to somewhere. So these were produced to sell by in 2019. So we are 2025. So these are 6-year-old seeds. So hey, we'll see what happens. See how many are left. I'm going to go ahead and plant all of whatever's in this little packet, because and I don't have very many. So it is no, at least one lady does love this word, but experiment, my experiment. Sorry, Jess. So with my 5-year-old seeds, 6-year-old seeds, we'll find out if I get any of these sweet peppers. So we'll see. They will not grow in that packet, so I might as well put them in the soil. They will not grow in the trash, so I might as well put them in the soil and find out what happens. All right, so there's my tray of peppers. Oh, I've got another tray that I put soil into yesterday. I can already see the top of it drying out. We're definitely going to need to bottom water all of these trays after I get seeds in them. I'm going to try to hold on to a bottom water everything about once a week, but then as my little seedlings start to come up, your top of the soil is what dries out first. So I'll keep a spray bottle around here, and I'll mist the top of the soil a couple times a week. Soil moisture is a challenging game that you get to play as you're starting seeds. I say this because if your soil dries out too much, your plants suffer. Your soil gets too wet, your plants suffer. So you're trying to find that nice balance. So Little Red Riding Hood doesn't want to, her porridge too hot or too cold. So that's the game that we're playing with our seed starting. If your soil stays too moist, you can get this mold looking green algae looking stuff on top, because hey, you are also while you're creating a perfect environment for your seeds, you're creating a perfect environment for that mold and algae to form. Well, if it starts to form on top, you're watering too much, so you just need to back it off. When soil dries out, so will all that algae. I am starting seeds in my basement. I actually run a dehumidifier down here, trying to keep my basement from being too musty. So I may need to water my plants a little bit more often than somebody that's starting them in a more humid environment. If you're doing it in a greenhouse, you don't have to control the moisture, but you're going to have more issues with heat. So there's pros and cons to everything. I was a new gardener once. I guess I've been gardening for about 10 years, And I had a lot of the same questions I find other new gardeners asking. And everybody just wants the answer. Well, I'm sorry, unfortunately I have learned that there's not one answer to everything. There's about 16 answers to everything, and you kind of have to find out what works well for you. With any of your plant troubles, I break it down to it's one of three things. It's either light, moisture, or nutrients. Either it doesn't have enough of one or it has too much of one. So really that's 6 things you got to look at. Too much light, not enough light. Too much water, not enough water. Too much nutrients, not enough nutrients. Speaking of nutrients, I am, again, the soil that I'm using has nutrients in it. You can start in, some seed starting mixes have no nutrients in there. If you're just starting in a cocoa core, made that mistake, Allison, sorry. So I tried starting in straight cocoa core. All my plants came up fine. They were looking good and healthy. But then I didn't feed them fast enough because there was no nutrients in that cocoa core whatsoever. It just retained the moisture that gave my seeds a nice moist environment to start in. And the seeds have enough nutrients and energy within their cell, within that little seed, kind of like an egg, that they can pop up and germinate and do just fine for 10 days, 2 weeks, and then in that time they're expected to grow their roots and reach out and grab the nutrients that they need. Well, I didn't have any nutrients in my soil, so in 2 weeks they all freaking died. It didn't matter how much water or light. If I had the right light and had the right moisture level, fine, but there was 0 nutrients in there whatsoever. That means if you're starting with something that's a straight cocoa core, a seed starting mix that has no nutrients in it, you're going to have to water with some sort of fertilizer. Had a neighbor, we had that conversation. She was starting seeds the first time, and she decided she was going to use fish emulsion. Well, she was starting seeds inside, and fish emulsion is a very aromatic product. So yeah, she decided she's never doing that again because it stunk up her whole house. Neither she nor her husband appreciated the smell of the little seed starting rack, because she was watering once a week with fish emulsion to feed her plants. Plants had nutrients, but the house smelled all holy whatever. So I choose to start with a seed starting mix that has nutrients in it, because I know I've screwed that up. It's one of the challenges that I don't want to try to overcome, and the way I'm overcoming it is by using a soil with nutrients mixed in. So when I say the mixed in, it's going to say, like this Fox Farm, I don't know, it's going to have bat guano, or it's going to have ground up fish parts, or it's going to have other bits of compost mixed into it. It's not just cocoa core and perlite and vermiculite, all of which have no nutrients in them whatsoever. You even have to watch when it just says forest product, because the forest product can just be your wood mulch, which adds bulk to your mix, and there are nutrients in it, but they're not really broken down and readily available nutrients. So that's why I choose what I do. All right, back to peppers. So we got the purple bells, we got the bananas, pepperoncinis is what I'm looking for next, and I need a dozen pepperoncinis. I think I got the hot pepper. There it is, pepperoncini. Pepperoncini. These are the little peppers you get in your Papa John's pizza. So I am starting all these peppers again because I plan to sell them in my plant sale at the end of April. So my plants, my peppers and my tomatoes, I'll put in those little 2.5-inch cups. I'll sell them at $3 a piece, and that provides me funds for all of my gardening for the year. Ideally, this is my first year actually writing it down and tracking all of my expenses, so we'll see how accurate that is. One way to limit your gardening expenses is City of Chattanooga has free mulch, wood mulch. So you can use this wood mulch in your paths in your gardens to help with to combat weeds in the garden. I also encourage mulch of any kind on your garden beds, whether that be leaf mulch that's from you mow in the yard, grass mulch from you mow in the yard, cardboard, newspapers. Anything is better than nothing on your garden beds to help suppress the weeds. One of my favorite little sayings is, Mother Earth is modest. Cover her or she will cover herself. So again, I encourage some sort of mulching. The city does have free wood mulch at the Wood Recycling Center off of Amnicola Highway here in Chattanooga. Your city might have something similar. Issues with that wood mulch though are it's a little bit bulky and chunky as far as bigger pieces in there. Sometimes you find a little trash in there because our city will come through and they got this big old claw truck and they pick up the piles off the side of the road from people that have trimmed their yard, and sometimes things are in that pile that you don't need to be in your garden. I found, a hat, a sock, and so nothing egregious, but things I've had to pick out and toss. It's not a fine mulch. I just personally use that in my garden pathways, or sitting areas to suppress the grass growth in my garden. Funny enough though, after it all, I put down cardboard, put down all this mulch. It looks great for a season, and then if I don't do it the following season, all the grass now grows up through the cardboard that is broken down and into this wonderful mulch bed that has broken down over the years. And then I have wonderful green grass pathways, for better or for worse. I've had more than one neighbor ask how I get such beautiful grass out here. I'm like, well, I tried to kill it and therefore it grows well. So if you don't mulch every year, things are going to grow in your pathways. I'm in a year where I am due to put down cardboard and mulch, and we'll see if my motivation and my back are up for it. I'll definitely be spreading some mulch around some fruit trees that I have planted, but we'll see if all my pathways get the mulch that would be ideal. All right, so that was pepperoncinis, and so we did the cherries. So now we're arroz con pollo, so our chicken and rice, or rice and chicken. So where did I see those? You're gonna be in the front if I start at the back, and you'll be at the back if I start at the front. So here we've already planted those varieties. Sweet banana. So we're still gonna do the jalapenos. Did I do a banana? I've already done the banana, right? Already done the banana and the pepperoncini. And hey, there it is. Arroz con pollo from Baker Creek. So this pack was open, so it is not a new pack. See if I can find the date on it. This pack was for sale, packed for 2023. So it's 2025, so these seeds are a couple years old. Not too many seeds in here, so I might as well plant them all, and we'll be done with these old seeds. Arroz con pollo. There we are. We did 12 pepperoncinis, so these are my arroz con pollo. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was it. 7 seeds. We'll see if we get 7 plants to germinate. If not, oh well. Again, they weren't going to germinate in the pack by themselves. They won't germinate in the trash can. Arroz con pollo. All right. Now we've got some red bells, yellow bells, and some cubanellas. Oh yeah, we're only doing half this tray. Red bells, yellow bells, and cubanelles, and that'll be half this tray. The other half will be hot. So I think you are the hots. Hot, hot, hot. Jalapenos. Jalapeno. So there's a red bell. Here's the yellow bell. What did I say? Oh, red, yellow, and cubanelle. And cubanelle. All right. Red Bell, Livingston, again, last year's seeds. So this will say packed for 2024. And it's okay to start them in 2025. All right. So we did that right there. So we're going to get 2 seeds in each of these cells. So in the distance here, you might be able to see one of my seed starting racks. I call it a metro shelf. I guess coming from the restaurant industry, that was the brand of shelving that we use, but it is a metal wire shelf. You can get it on Amazon, you can get it at Lowe's, Home Depot, you can go to your restaurant supply store. There's different qualities of the shelf, which is really based on how thick the metal on the shelf is. But you can typically find it in pretty much any size you want. So I am using one that's 2 foot deep. 2 foot deep or 18 inches deep. I think these are 18 by 48 because I've got 10 by 20 trays on them. So they hang off the front and the back just a hair because the 10 by 20s are 10 inches wide by 20 inches long. And then I can fit 4 trays across on this 48-inch shelf, and then I've still got room for the poles and such. So that's what works for me. Here in my basement, I've got a shorter ceiling. So my ceiling might be 6 foot tall, so I make sure I don't get a shelf taller than 6 feet. What did I just plant? Red Mercury Bell, Red Bell. Yeah, but you can find, I have found, shopping online, whether or not it's going to be, any of your big box stores or Amazon helps you find the shelf that you want. If you're using a restaurant supply company, yeah, give them a call. They can order any size that you want. And then on the top of them, over my trays, I have some shop lights. Some of these are incandescent bulbs, some of these are LED bulbs. I started with incandescent, and now all you find is the LEDs. LEDs are working out just fine for me. They're supposed to take up a little bit less electricity and give off a little bit less heat, which is fine. All right, yellow bells. Personally, I'll look for the daylight white, which is like a 5,000 Kelvin. And there's a lumen rating, and I forget the number. But the higher the number on the lumens, the better off you are because it throws out more lights. This is my very lay amateur understanding of these lights. We have a local garden store called Urban Horticulture Supply. They sell all kinds of amazing lights. And Allison down there can tell you all about how to pick out the right light for you. I am going with budget lights because, hey, these are working for me. I have had success with them, and I've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 16, 2, 4, 6, 8, 24 lights over my total of 3 shelves. So because I've got so many lights, I was going with the budget space lights because, hey, they're doing the trick for me. Yellow bells. On your lights, you do not want them on all day. So mine are all hooked into a big old lamp. So I have a power strip hooked into a lamp timer. So that lamp timer, these are yellow bells, will be on, say, 14 hours a day. You can go 12, you can go 16. Somebody will tell you one way, somebody will tell you another. Again, no right answer. I want to say I've got mine on 16 hours a day or 14 hours a day. What is it? I'm looking at my timer now. They go off at 10 o'clock at night and comes on 5 or 6 in the morning. So, hey, set it up to your sleep schedule so that, hey, when you're sleeping, so are your plants. The lights go off. The plants do need a little break. They need a nighttime cycle as well. Because mine are, we'll say, budget-friendly lights, my thrifty option, I do have to keep them very close to my seedlings. So I have the lights are suspended on chains, and I will start them. I call it a hand length. So how wide's your hand? 3-4 inches maybe above the seedlings at most. 2 inches is probably even better, especially when they're small. You don't necessarily want the plants growing up into the lights, especially your incandescents, because they put off a little too much heat for the plant to snuggle up next to. The LEDs not so bad, but still you don't want your plant in the, touching the bulb. So when my plants start to approach the bulbs, that's when I'll raise the lights a couple inches using the chains that I have suspended them with. So the lights at the top of the shelf are suspended off of my ceiling, and then the lights that are on the other shelves are just hanging on the shelf above, so that they're all suspended. So that gives me 4 shelves of lights, 3 shelf support lights, and my ceiling supports a light. And then they're all on the timers, and that was the Cubanelle. Oh good, I did have some extra tags here for the ones that I was starting extra rows on, so yay. So all of these will, oh, Anaheim, did I miss that one? Maybe that one's going in my hot. Oh, that's a habanero, that's a hot. Here's an emerald, a YOLO, a Cali, and a banana that I need to stick on my other tray. I'll be right back. All right, got those other varieties labeled. That's the end of this pack of seeds. That was an old one. All right, we're done with all these seeds. We've used all these seeds. I think we've done all these. Well, we'll hold them out just in case. All right, so that should have been 18 rows of 6 cells that I have sweet peppers in. Now we're going to repeat for the hot peppers. Alrighty, first one we're starting off with is Serrano. Of course, you start at the back, they're not at the back. Start at the front, they're not at the front. They're going to be in the middle. Where's the thing you're looking for? It's always in the last place that you look, as you stop looking after you find it. Alright, Serrano. Alright, that's where I touched all these packs. These are supposed to be my hotties. Alright. Checked and double checked that stack. No Serranos. Alright. Thought I was done with these. Good thing I didn't put them away. Hey, Serrano! I am not done with those. Okay. Alright. Very organic Serranos packaged for sale last year. And my sheet says I need 6 cells worth. Alright, Serranos. Find my label. As always, it's the last one. Serrano. Alright, next on the list, Poblano. We do a dozen Poblanos. And I like these Hidalgo hybrid Poblano peppers from Haas. They have grown larger than some other varieties I have grown. I like the large ones because I will cut them in half, core them, and then we fill them with some taco rice and meat, and man, One of them is a great appetizer, and 4 of them can freaking make a meal. These little stuffed poblano peppers. So trying to do a dozen of these, so 2 per cell. So, and these seeds are kind of look red in color, but hey, don't trust me. I'm red-green colorblind. They may be freaking green. No, I think these are red. I can tell the difference between red and green. It's just there's one green seed amongst all these red ones, then it's going to blend in, or vice versa. My best explanation is it's hard for me to see the little red berries on the holly bush from a distance. If I get up close and there's plenty of red there, I can see it, but from afar, if there's just a touch of red and a field of green, it all looks green to me. All right, so a handful of seeds left over. Roll me over, push me down. All right. All right, and that was poblano. 1 poblano, 2 poblano. I just threw one of my tags on the floor. Oh, wow. All right. Got 3 sets of 6 left. That's poblano, so I can do a Thai, a fish, and a cayenne. All right, Thai, fish, and cayenne. There's a cayenne. There's a fish. And there's a Thai. We getting hot, hot, hot. Okay. So Thai first. So these, the way the Thai chili grows, reminds me a little bit of the Tabasco. It's a small, compact plant with little bitty fingerling-like peppers on it that want to stick upright. And these will be a bright red, and they're small, maybe half the size of your little finger. Man, they pack a punch. You're gonna cook a big old dish, you need 1 pepper. All right, Thai chilies. They are prolific. You probably only need 1 plant in your garden. If you've got room though, I always plant 2 just in case something attacks your first plant doesn't do well. You've got a backup of that variety. But 1 plant is going to produce more than enough peppers, especially with this Thai chili. The poblanos, I would encourage multiples of. Fish is also very hot, hot, hot. Same thing, 1 fish pepper plant is probably going to produce all the peppers you can stand. If you've got room, plant a second one just in case. And hey, these fish are probably about the prettiest pepper plant that I've had because of its variegated leaves and variegated fruit. And so yeah, so notice if you're coming, I have put 12 seeds in 6 cells, and I'm going to plant 2. So if all 12 of these come up, I'll have 10 for sale. So I should have 8 or 10 of them at my plant cell. But I got a couple neighbors that want to come over here and get first dibs. So we'll see. I should have a couple of fish, but at most I'm going to have, say, 8 plants of this fish at my plant cell. That's what I'm shooting for anyhow. Because not everybody loves the very hot. I don't know if I want to quite call this one super hot, but it is. I am not eating anything hotter than this fish, the Thai, or the habanero. My palate cannot handle super hots. These are hot enough. This last one is the cayenne. I'm sure y'all all had cayenne pepper. Cayenne, the pepper powder, goes great in your chili and such. Adds enough spice without being overwhelming like the Thai and the fish have the potential for. So a couple cayenne. So I will probably put 2 of each of these varieties in my garden, with the exception of the jalapenos and the poblanos, which I'll probably do 4 each on. I'm gonna have to figure out exactly how many plants I can squeeze into my space, but ideally 2 of everything and 4 of poblanos and 4 jalapenos. All right, so that was the cayenne. Get those in contact with my soil good. All right. And that was cayenne. All right, I am going to end our video here today. We've done 2 trays. I have another tray of pepper plants going, but I have another commitment coming up here shortly. So I need to end this video, and we're already at 1 hour and 15 minutes anyhow. So hope you've learned something, or at least have been distracted, and maybe I'm on in the background. My name is Eric Smith, and I am from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Thanks for watching.